Had a few requests to do a review of Ehlek recently, so let's do it. We're going to talk about this sinister and scary looking villain. But we're not just going to talk about why this set is great. No, we're also going to check out what pieces are included in this set. And we'll see how you can use them to build your own LEGO creations. Then we're going to check out some really creepy revamps of this amazing set. So let's do it. Now, the Baraki. They were the first sets to introduce the idea of every single character within that wave having a drastically different and unique body design. Before that, all of the heroes and the villain characters, they were essentially just clones of one another. Each one had a different color scheme, different weapons, and some sort of unique eye color or facial feature. Nothing wrong with that. It was still cool, but it was nice to introduce something new. And I think it worked especially well on the Baraki. Their whole thing was that they were creeps from the deep, and making them all look different from one another, it made them feel like each one was some kind of exotic sea creature that dwells beneath the water. Because looking at all the creatures that are underwater, there's so much variety and variance. So seeing those differences on each of these sets, it made them feel more real, and it kind of made them scarier. And we certainly see that on Ehlek. Like, look at this torso design. Ultra thin, very minimal, and almost skeletal. Even just the choice to leave the upper arms and the lower legs unarmored. You could look at this and you could think, that's unfinished. They should have armored that area up. Nah, man. This makes them look like a monster fresh out of a horror movie. A creepy dude with ultra thin limbs, spikes all over their back and body, and then giant claws for hands? That is the stuff of nightmares. It's perfect. Yeah, it's just so refreshing to see each of the Baraki villains really feeling like their own unique person. If we had got that kind of copy-paste body design like we had previously, I think Ehlek would have been really boring. But thankfully there's nothing boring about this toy. I mean, I'm just in love with these trans-green spikes on his back. What an original and radical design. And look at how that spiky look continues onto the top of the head. This is just so dope. And while we're talking about things like the head and the back, let's move over to looking at some of these pieces that are included in this set. Ehlek is a bit of a treasure trove for pieces. So let's see how you can use them to make your own creations. Let's start off with those spike pieces. This is such a beautiful color to get these in. One way you could use them is how Bionicle has done on his mock, Thornwire. When we look at the set itself, Ehlek, I always saw these pieces in an underwater context, like some sort of sea urchin, but they work really well for representing plant life. The idea that the head of this mock is meant to be like a giant red rose, and the body is just like spiky thorns and leaves. That's cool. These Ehlek spike pieces work perfectly to showcase this. A beautiful plant-themed vibe, I love it. Poor Disadvantaged also uses these parts on a revamp of a Dark Hunter called Ravager. So this mock has a cool aesthetic where it looks like it's being mutated or corrupted by some kind of virus or parasite. And these trans-green spikes are a genius way of representing that. I love how they're growing over the weapons, the body. It's so clever. We also get Ehlek's face piece. Let's see a couple ways that you could use this in a mock. Rose's Must Build has a post-apocalyptic guy that uses these for shoulder armor. Isn't that cool? They look quite wonderful when you pair them up like this, and I think they look even better when they marry up against that torso. Such a seamless transition between those two pieces. Another great way that you could use this piece is how the underscore double has done so. You get a bunch of them, you string them together, and you create a lovely curved back design. It very much looks like a crustacean of some kind. I love it. Great use of that piece. Ehlek also comes with a couple of these dark green limb pieces. And I got a mock here that's built by Toa Apuru, and it depicts the lizard from Marvel Comics. So we can see this piece on the tail of this creation, and yeah, that's a nice idea, I like that. But I really love how they've been used on the neck of the lizard. The natural texture of this piece, it really does look like reptilian scales. Very nice. And finally, these amazing silver claw pieces. What a beautiful weapon. Honestly, I recommend just continuing to use them as claws or as weapons, much like the set does, because it looks really good. But if not, here's a mock by Powjump that uses them in a bit of a different way. So this here is a creation of a character called Civil War from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Here's a little side-by-side with the source material and the mock. And dang, this is the perfect piece to use for this head design. This right here is like the definition of clever part use. Maybe you could use this in a bit of a similar way on your own creations for some kind of clever, unique head design. Oh yeah, well technically you also get a bunch of lime pieces in this set, however this is the year for brittle lime. So maybe it's best to not take this apart and use those pieces in your mocks, because they're probably going to break, snap, and you're going to have a bad time. So that's some ideas for how you could use some of the pieces that appear in Ehlek. Now, let's check out some insane revamps of the character. We're going to start off with a really cool revamp by Mascari MOCs. This is dope. A lot more lime pieces being introduced into the mix, as well as some silver, and I love it. They complement the trans green pieces that came on that original set quite well. A nice idea to expand the spiky back by adding in some electricity pieces along the spine. Ehlek is meant to be inspired by some sort of electric eel, which I never really saw that in the official set. But, you know, finding some ways to actually put electricity into him, it's incredibly fitting. And the best part? This area lights up. Wow. I mean, look at all the translucent elements being lit under this light. It's stunning. I tell you what, man, adding in lights to any of your LEGO creations, it's a game changer. It adds a whole new level of creepiness and coolness. This is some insane work. If you have lights that you can install into a mock, I highly recommend doing it. But I must say, I'm a massive fan of this next revamp of the character. This was built by Velociraptor. So we got a bit of an overhaul on the body design. He's much taller, even more lankier, but I don't know, it just feels right at home. It feels so creepy. Especially with this new built-in like crossbow weapon on the arm, which I guess is meant to be the squid launcher. The fact that that's built into his hand, there's some creepy stuff. Also, check out the back design. I love how this has been reworked. It's using some of the trans green wing pieces that came on the creature of jungle, this guy. I mean, this just looks sensational. Now, sure, this is technically a slightly different color to the original head and to these new lime additions that we see on the mock, but I don't know, they still complement each other quite well. Also, the new additions to the face are wonderful, especially when we compare it to the original set. Like we see here, there's 4 white claws coming out of the face. And he's also got these silver teeth on either side. But we can see they've been reimagined so that the teeth become these large mechanical pincers. And these white spikes, they're now a sea of dark tan teeth. So terrifying. It's lovely to see that the layout and the composition is pretty much the same, but Jack has injected a little something different into it. His own personal touch. It's lovely. Look at that. 2 amazing revamps, some inspiration for how you can use the pieces, and a nice chat about this lovely Baraki baddie. I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you liked some of the mocks that you saw in today's video, check the links in the description below. You can see more of their work right there. Thank you so much for watching, happy building, and bye for now.